criminal, right? All you gotta do is have a reason to feel like it, right? Because y'all police, y'all police. We are not going to go back.
China has announced the world's largest radio telescope and actually is soon to begin operations. Officials say final touches are being made now to the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope, or FAST. The dish is set to begin its hunt for alien life. The massive radio telescope took 5 years to be constructed, and the total project cost $180 million. During the production process, it became a tourist spot in Guizhou province because people like to see one of the world's biggest telescopes. Chinese authorities say the country's space program will include putting a man on the moon by 2036 and building a space station.
Black lives matter! 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 Peace out! Peace out!
Transparency and trust between the police and the community needs to happen. We're out here because of the broken trust between the police and the community. And really all we want is to be policed the same way everybody else is policed. There's an economic divide here in Charlotte, but I don't know if there's a racial divide between the police. Our police chief, this one and the previous one, actually have done a pretty good job of helping the people in Charlotte. It's just that at times when there are unarmed black citizens, they die, and there's no reason for them to die.
No justice, no peace! Full streets, our streets! Full streets, our streets! Full streets, our streets!
I'm here to support Black Lives Matter. We want the full video and we demand the full video. It's incredible that we all get a night like this. It is just amazing. We are all here together to support Keep Scott.
A gunman is on the loose after a deadly shooting at a shopping mall in Washington State. Fox's Dan Springer has the latest from Burlington, Washington.
A small community is on high alert after a tragic shooting at a shopping mall.
We are still actively looking for the shooter.
A manhunt is underway in Washington State. Police searching for a gunman who shot and killed 5 people Friday night, 4 women and 1 man.
This was a senseless act. It was the world knocking on our doorstep, and it came to our little community here.
The city of Burlington has a population of just about 8,400. Emotions running high at a press conference Saturday, with the mayor here saying the community will stand behind law enforcement as it works to track the gunman down.
I know that now our support goes with them to help them extend the long arm of the law to bring the son of to justice who did this to our community.
Police say they recovered a hunting-style rifle at the scene, which they believe the killer used. Witnesses say the gunman opened fire in the makeup department of Macy's store. Surveillance video capturing this picture of the shooter. Police say there's no evidence right now that the shooting was an act of terrorism.
I don't know what his motivations were. I don't know what his motivations was to do this. I don't know what his motivations was to continue. I don't know what his motivations was to stop. But I certainly plan to find out.
Police say they're looking for a Hispanic man about 5'9", late teens, early 20s, wearing a dark shirt. The FBI has joined the search, but at this point, the locals are taking the lead.
Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! Allahu Akbar! الله أكبر قوات النظام ترتكب مجزرة في بلدتنا بكبرى استهداف سيارات حمولة إغاثية.
The warehouse of the Syrian Crescent. This is the warehouse of the Syrian Crescent. Abroad this house were more than 20 vehicles, 20 trucks full of food and flour and medicine and pampers and blanket. So the regime and Russia target this place and kill the staff of the Syrian Crescent. As you see, medicine on the ground.
This is AP News Minute. Miami Marlins pitcher Jose Fernandez was killed in a boating accident early Sunday. The 24-year-old escaped Cuba to become one of baseball's brightest stars. Authorities say Fernandez and 2 other people died when their 32-foot vessel slammed into a jetty off Miami Beach. The UN Special Envoy to Syria says the international community should not give up on the possibility of Russia and the United States working out a plan to deal with the ongoing crisis in Syria. He told reporters on Sunday that Russia has a strong capacity to influence the situation on the ground as well as the Syrian government. Protests in Charlotte remain peaceful for another night after the release of police video of a man's shooting death at the hands of officers. There have been marches each night since Keith Lamont Scott was shot to death Tuesday by police. The royal family arrived in Canada on Saturday for their first official trip overseas as a family of 4. Britain's Princess Charlotte, Prince George, and their parents Prince William and Kate will visit British Columbia and the Yukon. Krista Fourier, Associated Press, with AP News Minute.
The one constant in this violently unpredictable conflict is that neither side will win, and therefore both ultimately will lose. And above all, Syrian people are going to lose, and they are losing their lives day by day. All we can expect from Aleppo, if the Syrian government is indeed intent of retaking it completely, it is, and that's a military analysis done by many competent people more than us, is going to be a slow, grinding, street-by-street fight over the course of months, if not years, whereby the ancient city will be almost completely destroyed. In the face of these illusions of imminent victory, I must reiterate what we now believe to be an almost self-evident truth, but a truth that doesn't seem to be actually implemented. A so-called military solution or victory in Syria is impossible, including in Aleppo.
It is time to say who is carrying out those airstrikes and who is killing civilians. Russia holds a permanent seat on the UN Security Council. This is a privilege and it is a responsibility. Yet in Syria and in Aleppo, Russia is abusing this historic privilege. And while members of this council, certainly including the United States, have a deep interest in having constructive ties with the Russian Federation, history will not look kindly on those council members who stay silent in the face of this carnage. Nobody has to convince the United States of America of the danger posed by terrorists. Our citizens are often priority targets all around the world. But when Russia is espousing fiction, we have to call that out. What Russia is sponsoring and doing is not counterterrorism, it is barbarism.
Rome and the European Union seem to be at loggerheads over the Mediterranean refugee crisis. Italian Prime Minister Matteo Renzi recently attacked the EU for not doing enough to help his country tackle the endless flow of asylum seekers arriving in Italy from Libya. The signing of the EU-Turkey deal and the consequential closure of the Balkan route early this year has forced hundreds of thousands of refugees to switch to the Libya-Italy route.
Renzi has used strong words, and not for the first time, to warn the EU that Italy cannot be left alone to face the refugee crisis. Is this crisis an Italian problem only?
Renzi had the chance to refugee policies when Italy had the presidency of the Council of the European Union until January 2015, but he did not do anything. EU needs solidarity. Migrant flows have to be managed, not stopped. My fear is that Renzi is simply trying to change his image ahead of an upcoming crucial constitutional referendum.
According to Prime Minister Renzi, small Middle Eastern countries such as Lebanon and Jordan have let in more refugees than most Eurozone nations. Renzi has again urged Brussels to open to a wider discussion on financial help to poor African countries that would eventually lead to stem migrant departures from those nations.
It is not tolerable that a wealthy continent like Europe with 500 million inhabitants is not willing to receive 1.5 million refugees. Italy has autonomously started bilateral relations with gateway countries such as Niger and Sudan to help them.
On Thursday, European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker tried to take some of the heat out of the debate, praising Italy for its work to save refugees at sea and receive those who make it across the Mediterranean. Juncker added that the EU must do more to help those countries on the front line in rescuing asylum.